The first Singapore Climate Rally was organised by young people in solidarity with the global youth climate movement, and it happened on Sunday, 22nd September. And Audrey, actually, David, you both were there, right? How was it like?
It was actually held on Saturday, September 21st.
My apologies.
So the global school strikes for climate were actually held on Friday, the Friday before. The reason why the organisers chose Saturday was because they wanted to inject the uniquely Singapore flair into the movement, and also to be able to get everyone in Singapore to take part in the event. So yeah, on Saturday when we were there, I think the organisers said more than 2,000 people showed up.
Ooh.
Yeah, and when we were there, we really did see the crowd. I felt that the mood was high despite the heat. Everyone is very active in taking part in the activities, whether it's like writing postcards urging stronger climate ambition to their MPs, whether it's taking part in banner painting where they talked about why it's important for Singapore to ramp up their ambition, and also carrying placards. So some of the more memorable ones I saw were things like, I stand for what I stand on. Yeah, and or protect your mother, I think referring to Mother Earth. Like what were some of the other placards that stood out for you?
Taxi my memory there. There was one about beer, I think.
Oh yeah, no beer on warming planet or dying planet or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very unique placards out in the open.
Yeah. So
And there was another clever one on there was a mural that was being painted, and it was for the greater good.
Yeah.
Okay, so a play on word with Greta
I
Thunberg.
think Greta Thunberg sort of permeated right throughout that event. I mean, she was quite an inspiration.
yeah, and a lot of the attendees were dressed in red. So the organisers had urged them to come in red because when I asked them why, they said, because red signals emergency. Like, I guess, when we think of emergencies, like it's always red, right? The big red button.
Right.
So a lot of them did turn up in red, and we were all given a red chalk. Like, because because Singaporeans and non-Singaporeans and non-PRs were not allowed to take part in the rally due to restrictions surrounding the use of Hong Lim Park. But we saw people standing outside the perimeter, in fact, like holding their own placards and stuff like that. So I mean, earlier you asked, climate change and the urgency to tackle climate change had always been urgent.
Yes.
But when I interviewed, I told you earlier there was like a global youth climate movement. It's led by an international climate organization called 350.org. So they had a telepress conference for international media ahead of the global youth strikes. So they said something like, even though it's always been urgent to tackle climate change, the fact that young people all around the world have been rising up and urging their politicians to pay attention to this issue has injected fresh enthusiasm and urgency into the matter. Whereas NGOs usually, maybe they previously worked in the background, they try to influence policy, but the fact that you have millions of people, millions of school students skipping school has injected like fresh urgency into the movement.
Right. But to a lot of Singaporeans, we've heard a lot of critique that this die-in is a little dramatic, or this die-in is confusing, they don't get the point of this die-in. But let's clarify, this is not just about the die-in, right?
Yeah, I don't know why people are fixated on the die-in. It was actually a very, very small part of the rally. In fact, it was only like the 5 minutes toward the end of the rally that they did the die-in. And the die-in was mainly just it's like visual representation, like moment of mourning. Imagine all the people who would lose their lives, the biodiversity that would lose their lives in the warming world. And it is not exaggeration because, scientifically, we have already seen extremes in weather, extremes in, more extreme events, changes in, what else? Like, we are really physically seeing all the changes that climate change is wrecking. Melting sea ice.
Disappearing coastlines, ice sheets sort of speeding up, and sea levels rising faster and faster.
This is very real.
It's happening, happening now. It's not like it's, in the past people thought it was something distant, right? But that's not the case. And, there was a report that came out on the eve of the summit that showed that climate change is accelerating, and it's happening faster and harder than even scientists have predicted a decade ago. So,
So the organized, because the die-in was only like 5 minutes at the end of the event. The whole entire event itself was more than 3 hours long, and it was mainly getting people to urge for greater climate mitigation strategy. So mitigation meaning reduce the amount of planet warming emissions from that Singapore is emitting.
Right. So I think this is very encouraging that the youth are taking this into their hands, and I think we can do more, and hopefully our government may come up with interesting strategies at the end of 2020 to also do more. So thanks for sharing more with us, Audrey and David. And if you'd like to read both of these stories in full, do head on to our website, www.straitstimes.com.